Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being Up+Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. Gorgeous weekend. Ready for it? I hope you are. All right, imagine an A-list actress under the bright lights of social media scrutiny, a courtroom that felt like a reality TV set, and a public divided, not by evidence, but by viral sound bites. That's what makes Hollywood Vampires more than a book. It's a cultural x-ray of fame's dark side. In a moment, we're going to meet Makiko Wholey, a documentarian and also co-author on the ground during the Depp versus Heard trial. Yeah, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Join us to pull back the curtain on one of the most explosive legal spectacles of our time and the wake that it left, from people sleeping in parking decks to stream the trial to 50 plus hours of footage that never even aired. This isn't gossip, it's investigative fire. We're going to unpack how performance overtook truth, why Amber Heard became the scapegoat for a movement meant to uplift women, and how streaming justice became our new national pastime. Makiko brings us up front, really into the front row of a celebrity industrial machine, and it's not pretty. You don't want to miss a great interview. Hollywood Vampires, the author, coming up today. I do want to say, get to AdamMontiel.com, your chance to win Pink Drank tickets. DRANK, pinkdrank.org to purchase them. $65, Saturday, July 12th. It's going to be an event like no other. Summer Surf Sexy, that's what we're saying. It's going to be so much fun. You want to win your way in, you can. Get to AdamMontiel.com and let's go. Right off the homepage, can't miss it. All right, this story, so true. Life was so much simpler before we had smartphones. And here's a trick that is going viral that gives you a little taste of what that life was like. Have you heard of this hack called landline mode? Google says searches for it are through the roof this month after somebody went viral on socials with it. It's a custom setting that's supposed to make your phone feel more like a landline, or maybe a cell phone from the late 90s at least. Apps like Dumb Phone do it too. But the hack just uses your iPhone's built-in focus feature. You're essentially putting it into Do Not Disturb, but your phone still rings. Here's how you do it, okay? You go to the focus feature where you would turn on Do Not Disturb and look for a plus button that lets you create a new focus. Then choose Custom and give it a name. People have been calling it landline mode. Set it so it turns off alerts for everything except phone calls. Or you can let text messages come through too if you want. I like those off also. Turn the volume all the way up and then leave the phone in a specific spot in your home. So if it rings, you got to get off your ass and go answer the phone, just like that landline back in the day. Or you let it go to voicemail. That's where the landline part comes in. Once it's set, you can toggle it off and on, just like Do Not Disturb. Android phones have similar options, or should be able to do the exact same thing. It's supposed to make you feel like you can focus like it's 1999. Landline mode. Boom, there you go. All right, finally, Huffington Post has this article about coolcations. If you're already sweating just thinking about summer travel, I know I am. You're not alone. There's a new trend that might be perfect for you. It's called the coolcation. It means skipping the heat and traveling somewhere with cooler temps in the summer. So places with mountains, lakes, forests, for example. According to Google Trends, searches for cooler travel destinations way up. People are supposedly swapping out Florida for Alaska, ditching desert heat for places like Canada, even Iceland. It makes sense with extreme heat events. What are they calling it? The heat dome? Becoming more and more common. And it's not just about comfort. Cooler spots often have fewer crowds this time of year too. So I don't know, maybe you need to jump on the coolcation trend If a breezy 70-degree getaway sounds more relaxing than roasting in an overcrowded beach resort, coolcation, baby. Yeah. All right. Excited to get into this chat with Makiko about Hollywood vampires, this book. It's super, super interesting. First, I want to tell you about our friends at Life Elements, based right here in SoCal, A-Town specifically. Life Elements is a woman and minority-owned company making small batch bath, body, wellness products that are straight up alchemy. They're incredible. Their CBD relief sticks, game changers. Their EcoSmart deodorants, legendary. Yes, of course, I want you to go to lifeelements.com, but I really encourage you to meet Martha and Kurt. So yes, lifeelements.com, but swing by their spot on El Camino Real in person, 7425 El Camino Real, back right corner of the plaza, Suite O. Great people, great souls, support local, feel better, and you let them know you heard them on Up and Adam.
It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, she did not just report on this trial, she lived it. Today on Up and Adam, we're joined by Makiko Wholey, journalist, documentarian, also co-author of the explosive new book, Hollywood Vampires, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and the Celebrity Exploitation Machine. Makiko was on the ground in Fairfax, behind the velvet rope and inside the media frenzy, gathering unheard stories and unpacking how this trial became more than a verdict. It became a mirror for who we are as a culture, from viral reels and TikToks to courtroom theatrics and the uncomfortable truths about fame, fandom, even feminism. You'll want to lean in. Makiko Wholey is Up and Adam. Happy Friday, Makiko. How are you?
Thanks, Adam. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for being Up and Adam. You know, you didn't just watch the trial, you lived it. I mean, you were in the rooms, behind the scenes, with the insiders most of us only kind of saw on the screens. In those 7 weeks in Fairfax, what was the one moment, maybe an exchange, a silence, a look that made you go, oh, this is bigger than Johnny and Amber. This is about us.
I think the moment was probably about midway through the trial, when we noticed that people, because in order to get into the courtroom and watch, you needed a wristband. And people were waiting in line over 24 hours to get that wristband because there was a limited number of them. And so, there were cops kind of kicking people off the courthouse grounds. So they were going to a nearby parking deck to sleep and camp out. And that was when I was like, this is a cultural phenomenon. You know, there's somebody here from another country who's taken their entire vacation time to watch this trial. Yeah. Like this is something else now.
You know, your book asks hard questions, and I like it, about victimhood. Who gets believed? I mean, it came at this time, and I'm sure we'll hit on this with a few different questions about this believe all women. What did you come to understand about society's obsession with the perfect victim, and how does that harm the people who don't fit the mold?
Yeah, I mean, these are difficult topics, you know, like these are very thorny subjects that I think draw a lot of kind of opinions and a lot of debate. So we wanted to be very careful in how we talk about this stuff. But something we definitely noticed was a lot of people, women telling other women, you need to believe Amber Heard. We all need to believe Amber Heard. And I think that's fair, right? That's a fair thing to say. But at the same time, for Kelly and I, we just thought it was fascinating for everybody to rally behind an A-list actress whose honestly story isn't such an exemplary story. It's not reflective of the day-to-day experiences of women. And so to us, that just kind of, we wanted to put that into the book and put that idea into the book, that should we really be looking at an A-list actress whose, story has these challenges and problems that people are finding issues with? Is that who we're elevating, as a Me Too hero? These are the questions we wanted to ask. We aren't saying no, we aren't saying yes, but I think these are fair questions to ask that nobody wanted to ask.
No, I hear you. I wonder if A-list actress is a little generous, maybe B+. I don't know.
Okay. At that point though, she was in Aquaman. She was in a huge Marvel movie.
Touche. The courtroom really became a stage. TikToks were cutting testimony before lunch was over. This wasn't just a trial, it was content. What do you think we lost, and what did we gain when justice became live stream entertainment?
I mean, I think it's just the way that things are now, honestly. Like back when the OJ trial happened, back when Menendez brothers trial happening, if social media would have existed, the same thing would have happened. It just back then it was forums, it was, web pages. SNL parodied the Menendez trial too. But this is accelerated, right? Because of TikTok. So you can take that day and chop it up into a bunch of like entertaining moments. That's new. And that moves in the world faster than anything ever has, that kind of processing of an event like this. But I just think, I think also for us, like it felt like a lot of media was writing those people off or writing off kind of society's reaction to this trial. But when we were at the trial and talking to the people that drove from, Minneapolis all over to be there, they're there for real serious reasons. Like they're not there because they're like, not everybody just wants to see Johnny Depp. Like a lot of people said, my mom abused my dad, or my dad abused my mom, or I was taken to court by my ex-wife. Like people had real ties to this case. And I think that was something we wanted to talk about too.
Fandom wasn't just part of this story. It seemed like the battleground. Team Johnny, Team Amber, hashtags, hate mail, hero worship. I'm curious, what did this trial teach you about the power, maybe even the danger of modern fandom?
It showed us that power for sure, and kind of these competing tribes that cropped up behind these celebrities. And I think a lot of it was influenced by the strength of the Me Too movement and the kind of how that was a cultural debate. And then we had this crazy celebrity case happening at the same time that seemed to reflect a lot of the divisive ideas. And it just kind of all swirled into one big explosive thing that was about sex politics and fame. And but I think that was how we felt. We were like, is anybody really digesting this? Is anybody getting anything from this? Or is everybody just getting mad? Like, right. Yeah. So we wanted to try to ground it in some ideas, in some real world ideas, and challenge people's assumptions, and while also telling, an entertaining story.
You had like over 50 hours of footage that never made it to air. I'm curious if there was a moment never seen on YouTube that still stays with you to this day.
I mean, I think it's like what I said. Like for us, yeah, we have a ton of footage, but I think it's some of the conversations we had on the ground with people. Someone I met at the trial, her husband had died recently before the trial. And she told me straight up, like, I'm a celebrity chaser. I love celebrity trials. I shook Michael Jackson's hand at his trial. And she said, this trial happening across the street from my house is one of the best ways for me to grieve my husband and get over this, because I need a distraction. And I want to, and like that to me just felt like, this is the person the mainstream media is calling essentially like a deplorable or just, celebrity worshiper, middle-aged woman who loves Johnny Depp. But it's not. It's deeper than that for people. And that was kind of that was important to us. It's
like you get that. You don't get that pulse until you're on the ground. And no one would have known that. That's so interesting. We were told loudly to believe women. All women. Believe all women. But when Amber took a stand, a tidal wave of public perception were like, no, not her. Why do you think Amber Heard in particular became so wildly unpopular, even villainized at a time when we were supposedly primed and, molded to support all women speaking out?
Well, I think it begins with that idea of believe all women. I mean, that just flies in the face of due process. And I think while some women would argue that it's a feminist idea, I would almost argue that it's anti-feminist to believe all women, because I think all women should want to be treated equally in the eyes of the law.
Great point.
You would think, but that's a personal opinion, and that's just my opinion. But I think that coupled with Amber Heard, being this star who was bringing claims against a very beloved actor that was essentially like a folk hero to people. Like his fan base is powerful. So I think that, and then plus her story had challenges, or, had some challenging parts to it. There were some problems there. There was things that didn't sit right with people. And we talk about that in the book, some of the photo evidence not matching the stories. Like, I think it's all of those elements coming together to create a very divisive moment in our history. And Amber was, she was relentlessly harassed and bullied for this. And the internet kind of facilitates that, sadly.
Yeah, I have another Amber question, but first I want to kind of pivot into, do you think this was the same cultural script that Blake Lively is now brushing up against? A public that's tired of performative, craving sincerity, and willing to cancel a woman when she doesn't hit the right note.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of echoes there, but I also think that there's people that take issue with the way that women use claims of sexual harassment, or, because in a lot of ways, like sex crimes, sexual harms, that's an unimpeachable offense in our society in some ways. You can't really question that. And that goes back to the believe women thing. And I think people, are questioning that more now. But to be honest with you, I don't know the details of that case. Like, I know the details.
Come on, that's your next book, girl. What's going on?
Well, I mean, that's what Kelly and I joke about all the time, is we're like, this is so funny, this is happening. But we spent so many years in this world that we're a little bit like ready to study like turtles or something. Like, I don't even know.
Amber was polished, hot, prepared, and somehow it made her all less believable. What does that say about the public or who the public trusts now, especially when women tell hard truths? Is there a new standard for relatable that maybe punishes precision, but like rewards vulnerability in a way?
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of sad and a bit scary about her case and her story, and just about celebrity in general. It's like, the public can turn on you at any second. Like, there was a time in her career where she was really loved. People did like her quite a bit. But then I think they turned against her. And I think it had to do with her ex being Johnny Depp. And so, sorry, I lost. Do you mind repeating the question?
No, it's just really, it's like, could Amber have been almost too media trained for a moment that demanded rawness, and she just didn't come across real?
Yeah, and that's something we heard is that the Amber that everybody in the world saw was not Amber, and that at that point, in her defense, they were saying that she had just been kind of like rehearsed it, too much. And so the emotional aspects of it were gone, and it felt more probably rehearsed, or she couldn't really just be vulnerable and be herself. And I think that people close to her didn't see that as like the real Amber that they knew. And that was fair. And we really wanted to include that perspective.
This trial, we talked about the comparisons to like OJ, Menendez, and how it became like this thing. The trial wasn't just on TV. It was on TikTok. It was on Reels. I mean, it was a social phenomenon. And the takes weren't just hot. They were often, maybe sometimes spliced, sensational, maybe even misinformed. How did social media maybe distort the narrative, or at least tweak it? And is this the real danger now, that our truths are becoming algorithmically engineered, if you will?
I mean, that's an interesting way to put it. And I think the answer is yes. Like, I think we're in an era where we can all participate in the trial process in a sense. And that's kind of what happened is, people are taking the evidence and the testimony, and they're creating their own case and their own narrative. And then, with the advent of YouTube and everything, you can be your own journalist, your own media company. And that's what happened here. I just think at the end of the day, it is scary, because you really need to understand the evidence, and also read the transcripts and read the testimony and know the case from A to Z before you do that, ideally. But again, it's just, this is where we're at, like true crime and armchair sleuthing, and it's happening. And I think some people prefer, to learn this information from a YouTuber of their choice. And I think that's perfectly fine. Or you learn it from the news. And I think you can find issue in both of those.
It's so true. That's a really good point. And it's almost like we trust influencers more, or maybe here we did more than journalists because they seem messier, more like us. Maybe that's relatable. I don't know.
I think so. And I think people think we all know that all news organizations are owned by these massive corporations. And I think we see that they're fueled by clicks and they're fueled by, their funders. But at the same time, the same thing is happening with YouTube influencers and things. They're driven by clicks. They're driven by views. So they are pushed to, be more salacious. So where do you go? Where do you go for the real info now? And I think in a way, what we tried to do is we tried to go to everybody and everything. So it's like the news, the YouTubers, the influencers, the stars themselves, their lawyers, like, that's kind of what I feel like you have to do now to get close to understanding the facts and accuracy of a story like that.
Yeah, you guys were embedded. I mean, you saw things others didn't. You built trust where others couldn't. Were there ethical tightropes of gaining deep access to people in crisis? And maybe how did you keep yourselves from becoming part of the machine that you were documenting?
Well, we couldn't. And that's something we talk, we say in the book straight up, and I'll just say, like, we are part of this machine. Like, we are creating a book about this. But I think what we're just asking is, just see how long we spent on this, see how hard we worked to get access to all of these people. And that's what it was, is we truly, the germs of this began in 2020. And so that's how long we've been, absorbing all of this, researching it. We followed the UK trial very closely and then went to the US trial. So that's all. We want the book to stand for itself, and for people to read it. And we aren't trying to tell you how to think or anything like that. It's really just here's everything that we think you would want to know.
Yeah. In Hollywood vampires, you write that, like, celebrities, they're not just famous. They're products, they're commodities. And when you watch Johnny and Amber being packaged and sold again and again, what did that reveal to you about maybe our hunger for icons, even when they're in pain?
I think it reveals that they become these kind of vessels or these pawns for our ideals and our fantasies and our dreams, and it begs the question of what's real and what's a manufactured persona. I mean, since the beginning of Hollywood, like, studios used to completely control the personas of actors, like, to the point of, like, making up their race and making up their names and stuff like that. We're in this era of being relatable and being authentic and all of that. But how far does that really go in this world? And I think we learned that truth and fact is not of importance really in this world. It's about messaging and making things sound optimal for the moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, not the first time this happened, but Fairfax wasn't just a courtroom. It was a set. There were camera angles, reaction shots, audience reactions in real time. When justice becomes theater, do we lose the plot or do we just get a different kind of truth, one shaped more by spectacle with evidence than just evidence alone? Like, is the trial itself still sacred, or has it become another genre of content? I fear it has.
I think you can look at it a couple different ways. I think you can absolutely argue what you're saying, that we're creating viral content from testimony, from evidence. But at the same time, I do also understand the argument for transparency and for televising this raw and letting people just watch all of it and come to their own decisions, because that was Depp's side was arguing for the transparency because they felt like he had been trashed in the media by Amber and her side. And I don't know what's, factually all true there, but that was their argument, was we need people to be able to see this just from A to Z, and not just click headlines. And I think that that's also fair. But a consequence of that are these kind of viral memes and clicks, and that's all that people are going to consume. So is this also just a quick question of media literacy and what people are willing to consume to form their opinions?
Okay, I'm so curious. I just want to go turn this bitch inside out for a second. Like Depp and her story, they played out like, of course, like a cinematic epic, right? Love, betrayal, revenge, but underneath scored by clicks and likes and reposts and memes. How did we make, oh my God, the wine, remember he talks about, what was the wine meme that came from this? It was so good. I used it on my wine show all the time. Yeah, the mega pint. I love it, the mega pint. God bless you for remembering that. How do we make sense of a culture where something as intimate as domestic violence becomes remixable entertainment?
I think that it's, to be honest, not that surprising because, Real Housewives is on 24 hours a day at this point. Right. Like that's just on to watch. Like reality TV, we love it. And so when you're taking celebrities and putting them in a courtroom and we're seeing photos of their mansions and all this, like that's what our society loves. I mean, I also imbibe in reality television from time to time. Like that's what it is. And that's kind of what this became in a certain way, if you look at it, but there were deeper things here. And that's kind of the point, is in our book, we are trying to ground it in these bigger ideas, about fame. But yeah, we love these details. Like this is what we like.
I'm so curious. What is your guilty pleasure reality show? My 90 Day.
Okay. I've not seen that actually. I definitely love Real Housewives. Yeah. I like Beverly Hills. I like New York. Yeah.
They're fun to interview too. I've interviewed a bunch. They're fun ladies. They're great. Okay.
Yeah, those shows are so fun.
Guilty pleasure trial. I was into that Karen Reed trial like the whole time. Is there a trial that you've been into or you're digesting right now?
I mean, that's something since I was young that I'm just totally fascinated by the trials. I've watched like every single part of the Menendez brothers trial. Mm-hmm. That was one I was just fascinated by. The entire thing is on YouTube. I've watched that like many times over, actually. And then, similarly, I was very fascinated by the OJ trial. Jeffrey Toobin's book was really fascinating for us. And it wasn't directly inspiring to our book. It's very different. Jeffrey Toobin is a lawyer, legal scholar, but just drawing out these ideas about society. And that's kind of, us analyzing how Me Too played into this story, like that was part of it for us. So. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it was just really fun, Makiko, to meet you, to learn about Hollywood vampires. Links in the show notes, and I'd love to cross paths with you again. Great conversation. I can't thank you enough for it.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
All right, to dive deeper, grab your copy of Hollywood Vampires. Link in the show notes. Thanks so much to Makiko. Love the chat. All right, now like we do every Friday, looking forward to chatting with Robin Coleman. She is with the Woods Humane Society, woodshumane.org. Pet of the week, but also to talk about the huge amount of money raised by your Tails event. Robin, thank you so much for being Up and Adam.
Hey, good morning, Adam.
How's your week going?
It's going. I'm glad we made it to Friday.
Happy Friday. We did give you a shout out on Monday because I saw some social media stuff that just showed how incredible your event was. So congratulations while I have you on the phone. Unbelievable what you did that night.
Thank you. I know. Yes, it was a beautiful, beautiful night with amazing people. And of course, we raised funds, much needed funds to help more homeless pets in need.
And do we have a final number?
I think we're at 250,000, our biggest ever.
Wow.
We did have more people. We added 100 extra people. And so we are thrilled. It's, of course, a lot of work organizing these events. And we're all just run around like crazy and hoping that it pays off. And it sure did. Happy people. And now we get to help more pets. So we love, love, love this community of supportive animal lovers.
Well, one thing we've never stopped doing is giving forever homes to dogs, even cats. Who do we got today?
I've got a good one for you. I think you're going to be happy with my pick. I've got a big, beautiful black lab named Samuel for you. He is just delicious. He's got a big old head, a big old heart, a big old personality. He's about 100 pounds, big black lab. He's up on Instagram and Facebook. I don't think this is going to be a hard ask. I hope he gets adopted this weekend. He came to us from the county shelter, and we are just having fun with him. He loves playing fetch. He loves those squeaky toys. And of course, like all labs, he loves food.
Yeah.
So very food and fetch motivated. And I know that you know about those labs and how just like the most universally loved dog breed.
Sure. And, loves the water. It's so much fun just to watch them lose themselves in the water and have like ultimate joy, a lab playing in water. It's so cool. So, okay.
He is kind of one of those that you have to hide. Like, he knows where the tennis ball is.
Oh, they're smart. For sure. Yeah, no doubt.
Just staring. Like, when are you going to throw the ball again, lady? So,
well, these are dogs that you want to
roll over.
You want to play with them.
You
want to train them if you can, but play with them.
Yeah, play fetch, do that, then roll over for the belly rubs, and then he'll conk out for a nice nap.
I love it. So he's like 5 years, like you said, just under 100 pounds. Beautiful big black lab, like the European lab, like with the little short stubby face.
Chunky.
So cute. Okay, so that's Samuel. What else is going on? We're creeping up towards July 4th.
Yes, it is that time of year. I did talk a little bit last week about some like summer hot weather tips. I hope everybody's keeping their pets cool this time of year. But I really have to remind people, 4th of July, we are already seeing fireworks, firecrackers, things like that going off. I know these holidays are so fun for people. We love to celebrate, all that good stuff. But remember, pets are pretty terrified of 4th of July. Most cats and dogs are absolutely terrified. So make a plan now. I just would hate for anything to happen to your loved pet because of something, like leaving it in the yard during the fireworks show or whatever it may be. So now's the time to start thinking about it. What are you going to be doing in the evening? Are you going to be home? Don't leave your dog in the backyard. When they are panicked, they do things that are not in their character. So just because you know your dog really well and you don't think it's going to happen, it can happen. Shelters are so busy this time of year. Shelters are full. It's the busiest time of the year around 4th of July at shelters for stray dogs. So please get those collar and ID tags on your pets now. Make a plan. Do you need to get them in a crate? Do you need to get a little medicine from your veterinarian to keep them relaxed? Don't take them out to the big bang fireworks shows. It's just not safe. Let them stay at home, turn on the music, do something with them at home. And I really just want people to keep those pets safe. And if you haven't microchipped your animal, there's absolutely no reason. Go get a microchip before 4th of July. We do not want your loved pet to end up at the shelter. And only about 16% of animals that make it to a shelter after being lost ever get reclaimed. So we need you guys to keep your pets safe.
Wow, that's a really moving stat right there. But everything you said, I couldn't agree with more. And you put it so perfect and bluntly because it needs to be said like that. Robin Coleman, woodshumane.org. Congrats again on, $250,000 in one night for the Woods Humane Society. So great. Can't wait to talk to you next week. We'll talk about Pink Drank. That's going to be an exciting time. That's around the corner. And we'll talk one more go before July 4th. We'll talk next week. But I love the work that you do. Thank you, Robin, for being Up and Adam.
Oh, you got it. Thanks, Adam.
It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, finally, if you're looking for a fun way to kick off the weekend, then Two Vineyards has you covered. Their Friday concert series just began. We're talking estate-grown wines, award-winning, killer live music, a vibe and a scene that is unmistakable, 360 degrees. Whether you're sipping with friends, dancing under the skies of Ventu, the soon-to-be stars as it gets lighter later, it's the place to be. The lineup always fresh, always bringing it. Check out ventuvineyards.com. Get all the details. Check them out tonight. Grab a glass, get some food, hang out with some friends. Ventu, their Friday concert series. Ventu, Venteux, ventuvineyards.com. All right, wrapping up this week, want to thank our friends at Moonshiner Collective for original music on this show called Start Again. Stream them wherever you get your music. They're available everywhere. Also, you can go to moonshinercollective.com for more. Thanks to our friends at Timbre Winery for the Lowbro Studios at Timbre. Taste their wine. Their tasting room is in the village of Arroyo Grande. World-class wines. Love the people at Timbre. Timbre. Yes, that is how you say it. TimbreWinery.com. And thanks to you for rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show. If you have already, it really, truly means a lot. And even just sharing what we're doing here with a friend, texting someone, hitting that little square button, and sharing what we do with a friend helps others discover the community. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I hope you're ready for a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for connecting here. My name is Adam Montiel. Till Monday. Appreciate you more than you know. Thanks for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.